It's time to perk up your ears because in this review, we're going to take a look or listen to Echoes the Cursed Ring. This game is part of a line series known as Echoes, where you'll be trying to solve a mystery by listening to items and the stories attached to them. Put them in the right order, and you can discover what's going on. In this case, a cursed ring. Is it a real curse, or is it all in our heads? It's time to listen and find out. As Echoes is a mystery game, the how to play part is going to be a bit shorter, though I can tell you right now, technically you will be seeing all the components that are included in the game. The mystery will be coming from the app, which you'll use to hear the audio for each of these components. The main components are the chapter markers, which are thicker cardboard, and the item cards. The goal of the game is to match the correct 3 items to each chapter card, and then, once you have done so, put them in the correct order in order to hear the full story. I will say quickly for setup, to make the game a little bit easier, you can choose to take out all the cards with this white star in the corner, in which case you'll just work on half of the item cards, and when you're done with that, you'll go through the other half, limiting the pool and the number of items you need to worry about when matching them to correct chapters. Regardless of which mode you're going to play, you will still, in the end, match all the item cards with the correct chapter tile. To actually play the game, you're going to use the app on your phone to either scan an item or chapter card. You will then be able to listen to the audio, and based on audio cues on what characters are talking about, sound effects, try to pair them up with its partners, be it the other items or the chapter tile. Once you feel confident, you can test to see if those cards match. Keep in mind, you don't just have to do matching, but also the order as well. So you'll scan the chapter card first, then each item in the order you believe the story went. The app will then tell you if you have any number wrong, for example, only having 2 cards right versus having all of them right, and if they're in the right order or not. If you have it all correctly, it'll connect them all fully with some extra tidbits sort of explaining what's going on in that chapter. Repeat this process until you have all 6 chapters fulfilled, then scan the chapters in the correct order, and hopefully you've won the game. Once you do so, there is a score sheet for you to write your score on. So if you give this game to someone else to try, they can then compare their score to yours and see if someone was better at solving this mystery. Now, there's 2 parts of this, the story and the mechanics. Story-wise, it's serviceable, it's fine. I think its biggest problem is the way the game plays. You actually re-listen to something, maybe you're not sure, so you want to hear the clue again. And then of course you hear, once you put in the right order, you hear the whole thing, missing the little pieces that aren't included. And then once you get all the chapters right, you gotta listen to the entire story altogether. So at this point, it's like re-watching an episode over and over. You sort of get bored at seeing the same part again and again. So that hurts it a little bit. And in terms of the mechanics, in theory, I like the idea. I think it was cool at first to hear these things like, oh, okay, we hear a pot drop, so that has to involve this, or you hear this kind of noise, so it has to be related to this. When you actually execute it, at least this could be because of the difficulty. This is a 2 out of 5. And for us, I played with 2 other people. I think we had twice the app told us we had the wrong cards. We felt like we solved it really fast and didn't have too many issues. Combining that with hearing the thing again and again still, even with a almost getting correct every time kind of scenario, it just didn't work out that well. It didn't leave us excited to learn the next puzzle and find out what's going on because it's the same kind of mechanic. Honestly, after finishing it, I felt like this was like I played a part of some kind of escape room, like, oh, there's an audio part, but here's how you get the code now to go for this part. And I think if that was the case, this would have been a great mechanic. But by itself, I just don't think it has enough to just carry it on its own. And even the way I wanted to play, I tried playing with lights off because I'm like, oh, you don't need to see anything. You just need to listen. It isn't enough for the camera to pick up the cards at times. So you really should still play in a relatively bright kind of experience. Maybe there's a way with very specific lighting you can get that sort of in-between feeling. But it just wasn't enough for me or too much of a hassle at the time when we were playing it. There are things I want to like about this. I always like trying to solve puzzles and feeling clever and learning the story. But right now, with at least this one, I felt like it just needs something a little bit more. Maybe it's because I played enough of these kinds of style games, not specifically audio ones, but just escape room-esque games that I need a bit more from me to sort of chew on. Now, that, of course, like I said, could be the big issue. So for other people who are not experienced, this could be good. In theory, I love this idea of having to focus more on listening to something rather than just sorting out numbers or riddles. But if that's all you have, I feel that it's relatively easy to just move through. Now, maybe the higher difficulties could change some things up, but right now, I think Echoes by itself for a small box thing is a fine little experience for a night. And sure, you then give it to a friend and see if they can beat your score. But as of right now, when it comes to the lower level difficulties, I feel those who are already well versed in these styles of games, even though the auditory aspects are maybe a bit newer and interesting, won't give that same fulfillment that you may be looking for. Crits and misses for Echoes, The Cursed Ring. Crits. Listening to audio cues as well as trying to find out what's going on is a bit of a breath of fresh air compared to other escape rooms when you have to focus a bit more maybe on when you have to focus maybe just trying to solve a riddle or put some symbols in a specific order. Misses. Because you have to listen to the audio logs multiple times, even if you play it perfectly, it can get a little bit annoying, I think can take away from the story. Listening to a character die multiple times can sort of remove the impact of the situation. I don't think the audio by itself can carry a full escape room. I feel this would be amazing mixed in with other elements, giving you sort of a palate cleanser between maybe something that has a bit more dexterity, something that's a bit more riddly, and then this audio aspect. But by itself, I found it to fall a bit flat, and especially for this one, granted it was a 2 out of 5 difficulty, not challenging enough. So this is definitely a shorter review for a smaller game and not a very positive one, unfortunately. Like I said, I actually liked some of the aspects of it, and if it was mixed with more things, it would actually be really cool. But by itself, I don't feel that Echoes has what it takes to really stand up with the other ones. This one did feel a little bit easier. Maybe I keep stressing this just because it's part of a line and maybe something more challenging would be better suited for me. That's always an issue when it comes to some of these lines of series. Some of them could just be better than others, and maybe I just got the one for my first time that really didn't jive well with me. Technically, I played a little bit at a Gen Con a while back, but not the full game, so this is the first time I had the full experience. I will say, in all fairness, this is also, I just checked Amazon, about $10 these games. So it's not really breaking the bank in terms of this 1 hour or so game night experience. I just feel that there are games in the similar sort of aspect of that one small playthrough escape room style experience or mystery solving that maybe price a little bit more, but I think give a bit more bang for your buck here. That all said, I do think if you took this mechanic, combined it with some other things, it actually can make a really cool big escape room box. So maybe taking that app and the Echoes, the next step is what's needed. But for a small little fun mystery experience at home, you can try it out. But I would say if you already have played a bunch of these style of games, it's not going to be the one that I think is going to really change your mind or give you a really whole new perspective. You can let me know what your thoughts, if you've played other Echo games and had different experiences, do you feel like I just happen to have not the greatest time or a bit of an easier one? Is there one that you would recommend? Or do you have similar feelings that you think was pretty easy for you to solve? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm Will, and this has been a Roll for Crit review.